And now, Giant Sports Talk Live. Here are your hosts, Eric and Glenn.
All right, welcome to Giant Sports Talk Live. Postgame, Dodgers, Phillies, Game 2, NLDS in Philly. Man, it was a good game. Had a little bit of everything. And since it was a big game, we're bringing out the big guns. We got Lou Marston join us tonight. So, yeah, he'll come and talk some Dodgers and Phillies as well. But, man, I tell you, it started off with a pitching duel, and then it ended up with, man, it just some intensity. The Phillies try to rally back, but they just couldn't quite get there. I mean, my God, even that last out of the game was like, what is going on here, man? But, hey, I'm telling you, that Dodgers bullpen, there's an issue with that Dodgers bullpen. What'd you think of the game, Glenn?
Dude, I totally agree with everything you said. As much as you, again, you're on the bullpen. I mean, the Phillies are a good club. They've held them down up into the ninth inning, and then all of a sudden, the Phillies get some hits, get it going. But again, big play. The Dodgers do what the Dodgers do, man. That throw to third base. I mean, that sealed the deal as far as I was concerned. What a play! Kind of a gutsy play. I mean, a lot of guys would just flip it to first base, take the out. But that's Dodgers, man. They play to win, and they threw that ball to third base, got the lead runner, and I mean, it cost the Phillies at that point. Big pick at first base to close the game. Dodgers doing what Dodgers do, winning again. And, man, that's why I've got them going to the World Series, Eric. What about you, Lou?
You know what? What's amazing about that is I don't even think the coaches called that. That's what happens when you have two great guys at third and first. They knew when the guy was going to bunt it, they went all out. They realized that's how important that run was. If you saw how close he was, I mean, literally 3 feet, and then he turned around. And then also, you got to have a great shortstop. And what I mean by that is if you saw Betts, the ball wasn't great, but Betts made an incredible tag, got up. And then when you go to the ninth, that's why you got to have a solid defensive first baseman, because look how that game ended. It's simple, again, we don't know because it was reflected at the second baseman. The guy throws it in the dirt, and you have a golden glove like Freeman, which saved the game. I mean, if that was sort of like the Giants, they would have found a way to lose. But good teams find a way to win, and that's what great teams do, like the Dodgers.
Yep.
Oh, we got an update. Andrew Vaughn homers. It's 3-3 in Milwaukee. How about that? God dang, we're missing a good game, but because this damn game took too damn long. But anyways, I'm going to tell you something. Yes, the Dodgers were able to win, but they're not as dominant as we think they are. They're just not. The bullpen is leaky. And if you get a team that's going to go out there and be able to hit, look what the Phillies number 1 through 3 are doing. Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, and Bryce Harper. They ain't doing nothing in this series. They're absolute zeros. Now, Trey came through with a nice hit late in the game. But I'm telling you, that bullpen, if the starters cannot go the distance like Snell did, by the way, we haven't even gotten into what Snell and Luzardo did today. It's going to be a problem. It is. I mean, as much as the Dodgers will come back and fight you, you're going to have to be able to protect those runs because, man, the Phillies, they really matter. And you're talking about that great play at third base. How about that slide by Castellanos getting into second base? Holy, I mean, it was just, and the swing, what was that? The guy just went, Glenn, how many times have we said on this show, just put the ball in play, and that's what he did. He knew he wasn't going to get anything with trying, and he just poked it out there, got it down the line. Next thing you know, 2-run score, he gets into second base. I love this type of baseball. You don't always have to hit it over the damn fence. And today, how many balls went over the fence in Philadelphia, which is a home run park? 0. Exactly. So, I mean, there's different ways. Yes, you can't, do damage with a home run, but you also go do damage by just putting the ball in play. 7 runs scored today with not one home run being knocked out. So but I'll tell you what, it's exciting baseball. And Lou, let me ask you this. Could the Giants be any worse than what the Reds and the Phillies have been playing? Really? Could they be any worse than how Philly and the Reds have been playing? Not by much.
Well, you say that. I'm watching at least these games, and it shows me how far away the Giants are. Not that they're close. I think farther away. I mean, I'm going to bring up 2 points. And one of them I brought up when I spoke to you guys last. There's always someone that you don't know about that gets the big hit, and that was Will Smith. The guy's coming up in injury. Yeah. He's out for a month. He's come back 1 game. He was the one that got the big hit, not the big 3. And that's what makes it the playoffs so exciting. The other thing is the Dodgers have scored, and this is the biggest problem with the Giants. The Dodgers in the 2 games have scored 9 runs. 7 of them with 2 outs. And we emphasized the whole year, especially on Hot Corner or when I was on with Dan, how many times the Giants couldn't get the big 2-out hit or even a hit with runners in scoring position. There's a prime example. When you score 9 runs but 7 with 2 outs, that's the difference between a team in the playoffs, possibly 1 game from going to the NLCS, and a team home golfing and watching on TV. And that shows something. And I completely agree with you. The bullpen's a problem, but that's where I also thought today a little over managing. You have a guy with a day off who literally went 1, 2, 3 without where they couldn't even hit the ball, and you bought him in sort of a desperation. I don't care what it is. It's the best of 5, so you got to win 3 games. I don't care that maybe he hasn't pitched, he pitched the other night, too many pitches. You start him the inning. And we all know when you're a closer, when you start in the 8th or you come in with 2 outs in the ninth, there's something different. It's just all mental. Let him start the 9th. You're up 4-1. And I think, what happened is, we don't need him. We don't need him. We don't need him. In the playoffs, you got to do whatever it takes just to get that 1 game. So, hey, he came in. A great pitch to get the final out, but I don't think it should ever came to that, and that's why, it's one of those things. Again, we always, and I bring up the Giants with Melvin. He always waited too long. Yeah. You have a stopper in the 9th, you start him. It doesn't matter if you're up 5 runs. If it's like 6 or 7, that's one thing, but you could feel the momentum going, and it was a road game. That place was in a frenzy, and you saw what happened. He came in. 1 pitch didn't make it. The next pitch he got out. He doesn't know what's going on, and that's what's so great because nobody has him as a closer. He just started. So it's not like the team can go, okay, guys, let's look at films. They have 1 game they could look at him. They couldn't do anything. So now you got to go back. So it's really sort of a secret weapon. And I brought this up the other day when you guys were doing it. It was sort of like when Timmy came in. Yes. He came in, he was so dominant. He was the reason why the Giants won it. He would come in when there was a problem. He pitched the 6th, 7th, 8th. They maybe got 2 hits out of maybe like 18 at-bats. And then Bochy would say, okay, I get to the 9th. Thank you, Timmy. I'm taking it from here. Mm-hmm. And, that's what good managers do. And when you got the pieces, you got to use them.
Absolutely.
I agree with Lou. I totally agree with Lou. And Eric, I know you're hard on their bullpen. But at what point do you go, well, they're getting the job done? They're 4-0 in the postseason, Eric.
No, absolutely. No, there's no doubt about it. Of course, I'm just saying look, you can't keep doing it. You play with fire, you're going to get burnt. That's all I'm saying. It's going to happen. Law of averages. We've talked about this on here. There's the chance if your pitchers, and look, Blake Snell today, we haven't even got to him. The guy had a fantastic outing. A guy who normally doesn't get into the 7th inning. It's 2 games in a row he's gotten into the 7th. So, I mean, that's huge. I'll applaud. Blake Snell had a hell of a game. Jesus Luzardo also had a great game. Unfortunately, he couldn't get through the 7th, I think it was, right? The 6th or 7th. And hey, you got to tip your cap sometimes. But what I'm trying to say is you got to make sure that your starters are at least going 6 to keep you in it. Because if Dave Roberts has to go in the 5th inning, maybe even the 6th, you're going to have to bridge that gap to get to Roki Sasaki. And that could be the area that where teams can feast on you. Agreed. Because there's a chance. Look, you think that if they face the Milwaukee Brewers, right? I'm just going to say it. We'll say the Milwaukee Brewers advance. That's a totally different team than the Philadelphia Phillies. This team hits. They make contact. They're the exact mirror image of the Toronto Blue Jays in the American League. So it's not going to be easy for the Dodgers going forward. So all I'm saying is they're going to have to figure out that bullpen. Trinan looks like he may not be the guy to go in high leverage. Roki Sasaki's your guy. I mean, you got Glasnow that's now in the bullpen. He did a decent job. So that's all I'm saying. If their starting pitcher goes the distance, then the Dodgers are sitting in a good spot. That's all.
Roki's getting it done too. I mean, he's got to be he's your closer now. He's your closer. That's 100%. His job, like Lou mentioned, and I mentioned the other night, Eric.
100%.
This is Timmy time for the LA Dodgers. They found a guy. This could be a role for him in the postseason, and they're using him. I was surprised he didn't come in to start the inning, but nonetheless, he closed it out. And this is why, again, I've got the Dodgers going to the World Series again this year because no matter what happens now, Eric, there might be a little flame, a little flicker. It's going to that ember is going to die out because it's already 2-0 in a best-of-5 series. Dodgers are not going to lose 3 in a row.
I mean,
and they're going home. So much for your home field advantage, Phillies. Well, they blew that.
They blew it 100%. They had their chance in that first game. Yeah, go
Eric
for it,
and Glenn, do you guys? I have a question. Do you think because it was a 3-run lead, they brought Trinan in, where maybe if it was 2, they might have used somebody else? You know, because you got to remember they still got Kershaw, who pitched an inning of relief against the Reds. I mean, again, I would have gone lefty them, but sometimes when you're up 4-1, it's a lot different than 4-3. That's all I'm saying. You're trying to just get out. You're thinking of outs, not the inning. We're 9 outs away. Who can get me 3? And the other thing too is I agree the bullpen is different, but I think if you would tell them, I think their bullpen's better than midseason, because they now found a closer. So now instead of guys not doing their job, you have a guy that might have tried to close who might be the 8th guy. A guy that might have been the 8th might have been the 7th. But you got to remember, with their starting pitching, I think it's incredible. I also think if worse comes to worse and they need in the World Series where it's best of 7, it seems like you have days off, you always have Ohtani that can come in and relieve, instead of him opening. So I agree coming into the playoffs when it started, that was a problem, but finding the closer sort of solves a lot of the problems. So you just really got to get to the 9th. That's all. You're shortening the
you're shortening
you're
the
really
game.
shortening the game. And you got to remember who they do have as starters. So
who does the Dodgers rely on? Maybe you got that young kid Dryers. He's pretty good, but his postseason hasn't been exemplary. Vesia was usually a pretty good lefty. He looked bad today. Now, granted, and here's the thing, Lou, they got a day off.
Yeah,
so they could have thrown Roki.
And you got to remember, Philly needed this game.
Yes.
Philly needed this. They're at home. They did whatever it could. And you got to remember, I think Glenn brings up a good point. And both of you guys bring up a good point. They have a problem, but the bullpen got it done, and they got the W, and that's all that matters.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe in the back of, in all fairness to Dave Roberts, I mean, you're talking bringing Sasaki in. Those are some severely high maintenance, pitches he's got to throw. He had to come in just to get that one out. That's high maintenance, Eric. And don't forget, he spent the entire year on the DL.
Damn near. Yeah.
So maybe they just said, hey, you've gone a couple of games. They were up. So maybe that was the logic, and then they just brought him in to close it out.
But here's the thing, is they started warming him up. Just bring him in. To Lou's point, you got him. The last thing you want to do is have the damn Dodgers, have the Phillies start coming back into the game. Because they were starting to rally a little bit there. They couldn't get that knockout blow. The last thing you wanted to do is to have the Phillies have any idea that they could come back into this game. Because it's huge to go up 2-0 when you're going to go, as you said, they're going to go back home to LA. So go out there and throw Roki at the top of the 9th. To be on, like what you said, I think you said it, or Lou, you said it. You overmanaged a little bit, right? Just a little bit. Talking about Dave Roberts, go for the kill, man. It could have got. Remember, when you get a pitcher coming in, he's got to go 3 batters, and that could have instantly got a little bit weird. But hey. They won 4-3.
Eric and Glenn, let me tell you something. That's why Bochy was the best. Yeah. In playoff baseball, there was no one better than him. Now, again, there wasn't that rule because of someone like Bochy. They might as well just call it the Bochy rule where you got to go 3 batters. But everyone knew what their assignment was. And that's why the Giants bullpen was so good. They knew if there were problems early, who comes in? 6 innings, 7 innings, 8 innings. And we always have, one of the two guys were the stoppers, depending on 10, 12, or 14. Roberts, again, I'm not saying that he's not in a league. I mean, hell, the guy might win back-to-back, so you got to give the guy a little credit. But that's the difference between a Hall of Fame manager and a manager that's just barely getting done. And that's the one thing where I think, especially with the Giants, I want someone that is going to gain respect of all the players and know how to work the bullpen. Because without those two, you're going to be a 500 team. You got to get both. And people don't realize, and I think, Eric, you brought this up the other day, baseball playoffs are completely different than the 162 games. Okay? It's nothing. It's really a manager's game, a coach's game, and one of the other things, because they did score 7 with 2 outs, clutch hitting. You got to get guys that can hit in the clutch. And that's why I give the Phillies a little credit in the ninth. You brought up a point. What's him got a hit, and that ball was a foot outside, but he made contact. And when you make contact, good things happen. That place was rocking. But like a good team, the Dodgers brought in their closer. He got out of it. Defense won it. The bullpen won it. And starting pitching. Sort of like what Buster wants, but it tells us how far away we really are.
Hey, Louie, this is our first chance to talk to you since we teed up the Blue Jay Yankee series. Jays, I predicted Trey Savage would be elite. He was. Are you surprised they're up 2-0 in a dominant fashion?
Well, they've been, tell you the truth, the Yankees have not been able to beat the Blue Jays all season. They've been dominating them. But I will say one thing, and I spoke with Eric off. You talked about this kid, I'd say probably
about a month ago.
Month, maybe 6 weeks ago, how good this kid was. And it was really only from your hearing how good he was, one start. And I brought up to Eric, we had more publicity about Eldridge, and that's why I brought Eldridge up on our hot corner. I expected more. Look what this kid did. He dominated the Yankees, and in the playoffs, he sort of reminded me, again, not many people know who he is, but what Bumgarner did in 2010. He was a young kid. He pitched game 3, completely dominated. And I mean, dominated the Yankees. And, the thing with Toronto is great sports fans. They sort of deserve it. And if you have to really go through the American League, you want to knock the Yankees out first. So now it comes where they're up 2-0. Both games have been demolished. You got to remember, they bought in a guy after they were down, 6-0, just to get to game 3, which, again, a little over-managing. You got to manage whatever you can. I want it to end. Then they get a little breathing room, and then let Detroit and Seattle go all 5 games, and then everything's right there for Toronto to get to the World Series, and it will be exciting if it can happen. I mean, it's one of those things where I personally have a little parlay that I did with a guy at work. I have Toronto and Milwaukee, but they got to meet in the World Series. So it's a little different. So, I'm trying to do that. But, Toronto, the one thing about Toronto, and we're not really talking about it, they're missing one of their calibers, a guy that's not even playing. And it tells you can't just have one guy. It's a team effort. And if you notice, again, with Toronto, they're getting great starting pitching, but they're getting hits after hits after hits. And what we talked about, when you can get 3 hits in an inning, that's where you can get a big inning. Unlike the Giants, where they maybe get a homer, well, then the rally stops. You get a walk, you get a hits batsman, you get a double down the line. Before you know, you got a chance now for a really crooked number. And that's something that we are lacking. But when you see a team that makes a lot of contact like the Blue Jays, that's why they're such a tough out. They just don't have one guy. They're missing one of their stars. They still have 8 other guys in that lineup. And, that place was rocking. They deserve it.
Lou, your point, did you guys know that the Toronto Blue Jays are baseball's #1 team scoring runs with runners on and 2 outs? And not the fact that just they had that secret weapon, I call him, in Yosevich, because I think he is going to be lights out. He's going to have a great career ahead of him. But it's home field advantage that shone through, because the Blue Jays this year in 2025, 8-1 against the Pinstripes at the Rogers Center. That's dominance.
Oh, real quick, just because I'm going to get back to Dodgers real quick. Who has the best record, Seattle Mariners or Toronto Blue Jays?
Toronto's the number 1 seed in the East.
Okay, well then they're gonna wind up being the home team then if they go to the LCS. Right?
And I don't know if you remember. I remember on a hot corner when the Giants played Toronto. One of the things that we kept talking about, and even Dan spoke, is Toronto hit after hit after hit. Balls
yeah, they hit you.
I think out of the 3 games, they only struck out like 4 times, and the Giants did the usual 9 or 10. That's what makes a complete team. Not these strikeouts, not the mental errors. So,
and also they were able to catch the ball and pitch the ball as well.
And Eric mentions getting the bat on the ball. I mean, that's how you're going to score runs. I said to Eric yesterday, Lou, that when you've got, a well-rounded lineup, unlike the Giants, how many solo shots this year did Chapman get or Adames get? The Jays get guys on. They've got guys who can hit that allows your big boppers to knock them in with one swing of the bat. And on top of that, Eric, you may remember yesterday we were doing the recap of the Blue Jay game. I read off the batting summary, what they're batting this year. Lou, off the top of my head, I think there's one guy in the Jays roster batting below 245. They hit for average. And they don't strike out. They had 2 strikeouts in one of those 2 games. I think it was the first one, Eric. And when they do that, when you're not striking out, that means the ball's getting in play.
And let's talk about this, because the Philadelphia Phillies, what was one thing Kyle Schwarber was known for doing this whole season? Hitting the long ball. Where's the long ball? Because you know why? Over a 162 is different than if you're playing a short series. Because if you're playing a short series, and guess what? And if you're striking out rather than popping the ball over the wall, guess what? You're putting your team at a disadvantage because you're not putting the ball in play. And that's the issue that I have with guys who have these monster numbers. Same thing with Cal Raleigh with Seattle. He had a couple of hits, but how many home runs has he hit so far against the Detroit Tigers? Nothing. That's the thing. When you're in a short series, it's totally different than playing the long 162. So if your guys aren't quote unquote clutch and being able to just make contact, you're going to have issues in your lineup. And that's why Milwaukee Brewers and the Toronto Blue Jays are having so much success. I want to ask a question real quick. I'm just going to ask a question to the chat. Dodger fans, who do you trust in taking innings 7 and 8? Who is going to get you to the 9th? We know Roki Sasaki is going to be the 9th. Who do you trust in your bullpen, talking about the Dodger fans, to take the 7th and the 8th inning? I want to hear it just in the chat, and I'll just watch it. Go for it, Glenn.
No, I was just going to say, Eric, it kind of goes against your philosophy. You mentioned that Schwarber's just not hitting at all. What happens in the postseason? Good pitching beats good hitting, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I think it's proven that over the course of years of baseball. Only again proves that the Dodger pitching's getting it done.
It is. Right now it is. The starting pitching, the bullpen has been so-so. All right, here we go. We got Sheehan and Kershaw, Sheehan and Vesia, Sheehan, Dreyer, Banda. Vesia, says Chris. All right.
So the Dodger fans were in the know. They're kind of going with everybody, Eric.
Yeah.
Anybody and everybody.
Have we seen Banda in the playoffs yet? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Dreyer, I think we have. He wasn't all that good. Sheehan has been He's been I mean, what do you guys? We've got a few guys talking about. I see Sheehan quite a few times, Vesia a couple. I just want to know, who do you all trust in getting through your high leverage situations when it's the 7th and 8th, and let's say you're either down or up by 1 or a couple of runs? No, shut off.
I think, I'll say I think Sheehan is good, but I think it's a lot different where he pitched 2 innings. Again, he's solid for one time, 3-5 batters. I don't like him going 2 innings because then you get a chance to see what's working or not. And then I thought their guy in the 8th, Visa or whatever, in the 9th, he's solid for a lefty. But again, they got to know their roles. And in the playoffs, it's 1 inning. You're going with all out. When you go 2 innings, it's always like the 5th or 6th batter. It's sort of like when you have a pitcher and he's at 80 pitches and he's in the 5th inning. That's good. But when you go to that 6th inning, try to get another 20 from him, something always goes wrong.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, here's a question I want to ask the chat, Glenn and Lou. Do you want to keep Shohei Ohtani in the rotation, or would you want him to be more of a bullpen guy? It's going to be a little bit weird in how to get him into games, maybe, depending on where he's going to be batting in the lineup, because right now he's been a big fat zero.
I don't mind starting him in game ones of series, Eric. Start him in the game one and then let him do his magic the rest of the series, because he's still going to get to bat. I mean,
because right now his bat is doing absolutely nothing again in the DS.
Yeah, but Eric, neither is Judge, and neither is, as you mentioned, some of those key Philly players. But there are guys. He's not hitting a home run. Talk about the Judge.
He's getting base hits, but he's not hitting the ball over the fence. But Shohei Ohtani has even got. I don't think he's got a hit in the DS. I think he struck out 5 of the 8 at bats, something like that.
Yeah, don't underestimate the Phillies pitching either, Eric. I mean, it's postseason.
They're good.
I mean,
they're good.
I thought we saw a pretty well pitched game for
and
here's most of today's game.
He has issues against left-handed pitching as far as the playoffs are concerned.
You know what? I don't know about Lou, but I'm not going to criticize in any way, shape, or form Shohei Ohtani. Let him do what he does. He always.
I'm just saying. No, I mean, hey, we got to call a spade a spade. The guy isn't having a very good DS. That's all I'm saying. He's not having a good DS. Not having a good DS. You're paying this guy a shit ton of money, right? And he's got to come through in these moments.
2 games in. I mean,
162 gets you to the show. Once you get in the show, you need to come out and freaking dominate. And he did pitching wise.
He's not going to dominate every day, though, Eric. I mean, so he has 2 games where he doesn't get, good connectivity with the bat.
Oh, trust me, us Giants fans.
Play out.
Hey, you damn well know if this was the Giants and Rafael Devers did the same damn thing that Shohei is doing, people are going to be calling for his head. You know it's going to happen. So, hey, you got to do this.
Rafi Devers isn't Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani is probably the best ball player ever. So
absolutely. No, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is these last 2 games in the DS, the bat really hasn't shown up. That's it. Simple as that.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's a horrible player. About this. This can be an open discussion. We'll talk about this some night coming up in the next 4 or 5 days.
You bring up a good point. 4 for 5. But without him, but the one thing is that's a good point. I mean, I'll give it to you. And Ohtani hasn't done anything, but he did get 1 hit tonight, and he did get an RBI. So without his hit and RBI, they would have lost most likely. Sure. And second of all, they won both games.
They did.
I think if Ohtani would have been 0-5 and they lost both, then you can put the criticism on him.
That's fair. And who do you think has been stepping up in the lineup? I want to hear. Mookie Betts has had a good series. Freeman has had a good series.
Hernandez has been huge.
Hernandez
he hit the homer. And again,
Hernandez, dude. Who is this guy? What is he, man? This dude freaking he hits a freaking a blue, or not even a blooper. He hits a freaking a 10-mile-per-hour ground ball, and all of a sudden he's freaking sitting on first base.
But again, this is why the LA Dodgers are dominant, because any given day, anyone can win you a ball game.
And it's isn't it? And it goes to the point. How was Kike's regular season? Not very good. But when the postseason lights shine the brightest, boy, he shows up.
Did it last year too.
Eric, that's called clutch.
That's clutch. That's
clutch.
Yes, exactly. It's getting through the 162. You still got to do it. You got to get to the show. But once you get into the show, that's where you really got to go, okay, it's time to turn it on.
And you got to remember, Hernandez got the big homer the other day, right? But you got to remember, last year, he and Freeman were why they won the World Series. Yeah. Coming up with big hits. When you've done it before, you know what to expect. There's no pressure. You got to remember, I think, if you would have told the Dodgers before, hey, you'll split, they would have taken it. Now they're up 2-0. They're going back home. You were talking about the bullpen. They could do whatever they want because Philly has to win the next 3. And that's going to be a very, very tough thing. All right, here's my other thing. You saw Philly has to win 3 between them and the Dodgers winning 3. Do you think who if you had a bet, do you think Philly could come back down 0-2 and win the next 3? Or could the Yankees?
Look, think about this. What's the Dodgers? Who they're throwing, right? They're going to throw Yamamoto.
Yep.
Then it's going to go back to Shohei and then back to freaking Blake Snell. I hate to say it because I cannot stand the Dodgers. I'm a Giants fan. That's the
And
way it's supposed to.
and that's why I think the Dodgers want to get it over with, and they're and because you got to remember they have a little time, and then it's going to be one of those things where sometimes things just fall into place. So say they sweep, say the Cubs in Milwaukee go 5, and Milwaukee wins. Milwaukee had to do a starter tonight, where again the Dodgers are going to have another advantage. They've had time off. They got their starters the way they want. It's just one of those things, and it happens sometimes.
Updating it's still 3-0. Mizorowski is now in the game for the Milwaukee Brewers. So they had 2 relievers go for the first 2, or they had, Ashby, and then Mears came in a little bit later. I think he only pitched, a third of an inning? Yeah.
And Mears, that's a big advantage when you're up 1-0. If they're down 1-0, you would have done something different. That's why those game ones are so big, especially in best of 5.
Yamamoto in game 3, Phillies they don't know who they're starting.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. They lost freaking Zach Wheeler, and that was a huge blow there towards the end of the season.
And you can't have home field advantage in this round, Eric, and not get one. I mean,
you're going to get one.
They're toast.
Phillies may win one, but I got a feeling that
Eric,
there's
a reason why he's the ace. Now, I know Philly had Romero and all that, and that's the thing is, again, I know a lot of times on the chat, on Dan's show and Hot Corner, people get pissed off that we don't call Webb.
Real quick, this guy's coming out throwing 103 and 104 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
This kid.
And by the way,
my God.
The rookie.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, he's coming out just throwing gas.
Because they only need him for 2 innings. He knows his job. So what I was going to say is that's nothing about Webb. We're not saying that he's not good and he's not a great Giant, but when you're an ace, there's only a few aces. And when you're not starting that game 1, where you even if you don't win, they get 7 or 8 innings of shutout ball. That's why, Dan kept saying, "Oh, I really like Philly." I go, "Are you nuts? They lost their race. Oh, they got plenty of pitching." When you lose your ace, everybody else takes a step back. Instead of them being a number 2 pitcher, imagine the Giants if we don't have Webb. But the big thing is that's why Webb is an ace. He's he's a solid number 2, but there's only maybe a handful that are aces. Guys come in and it's shut down. You're probably going to win 90% of the time, like with the schemes or what's the name for Detroit, Screwball, you just know it. And when he comes on, the other team's like, how are we going to scratch a run? How are we just going to get a guy to third base? That's just the difference. I'm not saying nothing's wrong with Webb, but all I'm saying is he just wasn't, an ace. That's all I'm saying. So
I tell you, man, this is, I hate to say it, but I think the Dodgers, for that simple reason, Lou, I think they got all their guys. They got Snell back at the right time. Yamamoto's had a fantastic year. And then, of course, Blake Snell, you got Blake Snell, Yamamoto, and then Shohei is now in rare form. He hasn't pitched hardly at all this year, so he's raring to go. It's an uphill battle.
And you got Sasaki, who came back from an injury, so his arm's not done. You got Glasnow. I mean, they're loaded compared to last year where they had one starter, and then it was ridiculous.
It's exactly opposite. Last year they had a dominant bullpen, right? And this year, now they have the dominant starting pitching, which is, a credit to the Dodgers. And
to piggyback off what you guys were talking about, having that ace pitcher. Remember what I said to you yesterday, Eric? I had the Mariners to win yesterday. I said, to a man on the team, you shouldn't be worried about the pitcher you're facing. Just worry about your own guy. Take care of your own business. I said to you yesterday, I said, Eric, it doesn't matter about what the Tigers throw at you. If you can go out there and keep it to the 5th, 6th, 7th innings, and you're right there, close, tied, you got a chance to win. And that's exactly how it unfolded yesterday when the Mariners ended up closing out that game. Just worry about your own guy. You got to get your own pitching. And not so much worry about the other guy.
Hell of a game. But again, another pitching duel. I mean, Scuba was fantastic, except for one guy. One guy did all the damage against Scuba because he went out and had 9 strikeouts, but Jorge Polanco was able to take
a lot of guys are forgetting this, Eric. Good point. Dodgers have won 9 in a row, Eric.
Yeah.
9 in a row.
They finished the season on, and that's the thing. If you could finish your regular season on a roll, you're going in hot. When
So
you're
their pitching
not,
hasn't let them down.
no, it hasn't.
And they didn't have the bye. Every game sort of meant something because Padres were close. They ended the season going. They went right in 2 days later for the baseball playoffs, where normally the Dodgers have the best record, and they're sitting back a week. You know what I mean? How it just sort of went in the flow, and they got Betts back, who's now been good, and they're doing all this where you're saying Ohtani hasn't done anything. Ohtani's watch game 3, it's 2 homers, and it's just one of those things. That's why a team that's loaded can always come through.
And we haven't seen a lot of them on the hill either in the last year, right? So you go back a couple of years. Remember, he's dominant pitcher when he has to be. He took a no-hitter into the bottom of the 8th inning or top of the 8th inning while he was still his last year with the Angels, I believe it was. So, I mean, the guy can pitch. So you can't underestimate. You can't underestimate.
What's up, Armand?
The Dodgers, I'm not concerned about their pitching at all. They've got enough to get by, and the hitting is there. I mean, they are the best team in baseball, in my opinion. No doubt about it.
I'll tell you what, another team will have issue with that because the best team in the entire major leagues this year was the Milwaukee Brewers. Let's do a hypothetical. How do you feel about the Dodgers if they do face the Milwaukee Brewers? You think they could handle them easily, or do you think it's going to go 7?
5 or 6. 5 or 6, but the Dodgers win.
Think so, huh?
Yeah, I think
the Dodgers have a team. Don't you guys agree the Dodgers have a team right now when it matters? Like Lou had mentioned a few minutes ago, this isn't the team that we would see in July or April. This is a October Dodger
That's
team.
fair.
So I think you can. You're usually the guy who brings up the point, Eric. You can't talk about last week or the regular season.
Absolutely.
Playoff baseball, and the Dodgers have the best.
And the Milwaukee Brewers are playing some damn good baseball against the Cubs.
And they're going to have the home field advantage, Eric. But I think
yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Is the Dodgers have done this before. A lot of the guys on the Brewers, they haven't.
That's a good point.
It's going to be one of those things where the guys that haven't done it for 4 or 5 years. Now, again, they've been in the playoffs, but when you're in the NL Championship Series, everything's different. You went from best out of 3, best out of 5. Now the pressure really starts. It's best out of 7.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those things when you've done it and you're trying to repeat, huge advantage. You have guys that are super, super clutch. And again, the one thing, and Glenn brings this up too, all the Dodgers did for the first 140 games, try to get healthy. Snell, my shoulder. Don't worry. We just want you in the playoffs. We're going to make it. But once the playoffs happened, everyone started coming back. Because the one thing about the difference between the Giants and Dodgers is about getting the ring. Okay? That's all they care about. We want to get the World Series. They could lose in the greatest World Series in 7 games, say to Toronto or something like that. It's a disappointment. That's why I don't like the Giants. Oh, we're hoping to get the 3rd wild card. Okay, first of all, if you're lucky to get in the 3rd wild card, that means you got road games up the yin-yang. You got to win 2 out of 3 on the road. And that's why the Dodgers mentality, World Series ring or bust, that's where the Giants got to start doing it. And I think Buster's trying to take the steps like that because too many of us, especially a lot of the fans, we won 3 in 5 years. Okay, that was over 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Has anybody noticed we've only made the playoffs since 2016 twice? The Dodgers have made the playoffs 16 straight years. That's how it should be with us.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. And we bring up
the last point.
I'll let you guys talk. We haven't made the playoffs one time as a wild card. So why do we talk about that? We haven't. The only time we did is we won the division. Well, then we got to start going. We got to make the division.
100%. That's a fact. That is the way the Giants need to do it going forward. And first off, we got to figure out who the hell the manager is before we go anywhere else, and then we can start talking off-season stuff. But hey, you guys ready to shut it down? I'm gonna go watch the rest of this game. This is gonna be good. Lou, did you want to join for the second game?
I will come back. Yeah, let's talk about it. I really appreciate you guys. I have a little free time, so I don't mind talking a little ball with you. I love talking about baseball. It's
fun, man.
It's fun.
Fun. It's awesome,
good
man.
Points,
I just love it.
Good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good job.
All right, guys. Show back up. around, what time is it? 7 o'clock. It's already in the middle of the third. So probably around 8:30-ish, maybe 9, depending how long this game goes. And then we'll come back and do it all over again, man. This is fun.
Should be a dandy. Should be a good.
Dude, I'm telling you, this is playoff baseball is exciting, even if it involves the damn Dodgers. Woo! Damn, dude. What are you going to do, man? What are you going to do? All right, guys. We'll see you guys a little bit later. Woo!
You've been watching Giant Sports Talk Live with Eric and Glenn, a Northern Lights Entertainment Broadcasting production.